Science! Hello, here is our moon and earth from last night. So now we'll have a quick look during the day. But first, let's have a quick listen to... We all want to know about the Parker Probe's heat shield, don't we?
The heat shield is made out of a couple of different materials. One is carbon-carbon, which is a lot like the graphite epoxy you might see in your golf clubs or your tennis racket, but it's just been superheated. The inside is a carbon foam, which is just another form of carbon and is actually about 97% air. It's a very lightweight way of making a very strong structure.
Nobody likes a knee.
Lightweight of making a very strong structure. Very, very good. 3% carbon and 90% air. That sounds like an absurdity to me. But then again, everything seems like an absurdity to me, doesn't it? Right, there's the moon. Just to the right, on the right hand side of the trampoline. Remember the scale. So Earth had a diameter of 30 centimeters. The 150 million kilometers became 9 meters between the moon and Earth, and the moon has a diameter of 8.3 centimeters. That's all to scale, right? That is the 12,000 of Earth and the 3/4 of the moon shrunk. We've then got the distance from Earth to the Sun of 3.5 Ks, just over 3.5 Ks. And the Sun has a diameter of just over 32 meters, which we worked out to be about 10-story building, 10, 11 stories, 3 meters per floor. That's 32 meters. That is big. So we're looking, I mean, yeah, but this block is 15, 30, there you go. It was 30, yes it was. From that blackboard to the fence was about 34 and a bit, nearly close to 35 meters. So there you go. All the way down there, right? Probably from here, all the way down to that fence is about 32 meters, well yeah, 32, 33, 34. So you picture that, make it a square, like the whole yard, right? And then just cut a circle out of it so that the diameter, so that the edges reach down there by where the fence is. That is how big the Sun is. It's 3.5 kilometers away. That's a pretty big Sun, isn't it? And you ask yourself, if you were an ant, not an ant, if you were a tiny, I don't know, microbe on that planet Earth there, you'd still see the light 3.5 kilometers away, even though it's the two scale thing, right? But there has to be a common sense factor about this. It wouldn't matter how small a living creature was on this thing right here, if the Sun was 3.5 Ks away and it had a diameter of 32 and a bit meters, we would see it instantly. Any little bug on that would see it instantly. It goes up, it gets bigger, but the scale stays exactly the same the whole time. So why would you not see the Sun immediately? It's ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. It really is. Right, so what will happen in your eclipse, because the Sun will be so far away, it's 150 million kilometers away, it's the same size as that moon. Give or take a gnat's whisker. I'm not sure which is, I don't know. I mean, we see the corona, just the outside edge of the corona, so yeah, maybe the moon is a little bit smaller. So, yeah, but when you think about this, right, this whole absolute thing, once you see this eclipse, you'll understand, right? If you lighten up can actually feel the cool as the moon gets in front. It takes all the heat out. Now, there's no delay in any of this, right? So making an excuse to find some kind of angle where there is a delay, it's insane. There is no delay. The light from the sun, it's absolute. It's obvious that it's absolute, which means the other stars are absolute, which means they don't know the age of the universe, right? Because the speed of light is not 299,792 kilometers per second. It's an absurdity. It's ridiculous, right? They need that speed because everything revolves around that speed, doesn't it? Right? Nobody knows the age of the universe. Constantly claiming stuff that cannot be known, including what our star is going to do in 5 billion years. All of this stuff. There's no evidence, nothing for any of it, right? There just isn't. Everybody just presumes, we just accept. There is no logical explanation. It's impossible for anyone to know what is going to happen to our sun in 5 billion years, unless you've been around for 10 billion years and you've seen a couple of them, right? 30 years looking up at the sky and telling porcupines, because that's all they are, right? Because they're not seeing stuff that happened 4 billion years ago. It's ridiculous. The light of the stars did not take billions of years to get here. The reason we see them is because they are radiating right now, right? That is why there is no delay. It's illogical. How have they gotten away with this? And it will become obvious to you people when you look at the eclipse. You'll see the sun, you'll feel the shadow, the heat disappears, it darkens the sky. You'll realize it's the power of the sun. It's insane. If light and heat, right, were delayed, why did we not feel that coolness before or after the sun was behind the moon? Why? Why does it happen when the sun is directly behind the moon? Why? If there was an 8-minute delay, would it not have happened 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago? This sudden heat loss of everything is right there in front of people, right? It is right there, the light and the heat. It happens as soon as the moon is in between us, right? Why is that? If the sun is 8 minutes and 20 seconds further ahead of itself, there would not be this immediate heat loss, would there? It's immediate, it's absolute. It's anti-common sense to think otherwise. They do not know the age of the universe because every single star that is shining down, it's there now, shining absolute, which means there is no idea of how long they've been there. There is no, it's impossible to know, right, how old the universe is, because the stars are just there radiating their light, right? It changes everything. It changes everything. And once you spot one of these big lies, you'll start to understand, right? The pyramids, 65 Nimitz class aircraft carriers. How? Not the biggest army, the US Army couldn't do that. 65 Nimitz class aircraft carriers with copper hand tools. Give me a break. It's the believing of the absurdities, right, that is making people's common sense disappear, because people refuse to look at what's in front of them and instead opt for the absurdity route, right? It's ridiculous, it really is. God, I hope people wake up soon. It's just getting to the stage where I don't know. So yeah, the sun is about the size of that moon, but it's 150 million kilometers away, right? In this case, it's 3.5 kilometers away. and it's 32 meters in diameter. So something that size, if it is 3.5 kilometers away, would be roughly that size. So if anybody can see a building, a 10 or 11 story building where they live that's 3.5 k's away, I guarantee you it will be close to that size. As long as you cut a round diameter, so as long as the diameter is about 32 or 33 meters, that's roughly the size it's going to look like from that distance. Like what's going on in the US, all this drama about the eclipse, and they're building it up, and the Pentagon's probably promoting, it might be UFO time. There's a good chance that they're going to come out from behind the sun when we're not looking, because this is what they do, but people believe it. It's just absurdities. And start trusting your own judgment in things and stop believing everything. God, need to start kicking a few absurdities out, bringing some common sense back into the drawer. Don't be too naive, believing everything they say. There's a reason they say the things they do. They want control. Innit? Age of the universe, the speed of light, how strong the sun is. A real slow speed, and it's really not that hot because they just sent a probe, didn't they? Sent a probe. Can't be that hot, can it?
Explorer. Solar Probe can take care of itself, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that's because it has autonomy software that will keep its instruments safe and cool behind a heat shield.
We're too far away to joystick it into place, so it basically has to always be sensing whether or not the heat shield is in the right position and correct itself if it isn't. There are these things called solar limb sensors that are just poking out at the very edge of the shadow, and if those get illuminated, the spacecraft knows, oh, I'm going the wrong direction, and can actually right itself.
It's important to stay hydrated in the sun, even for a spacecraft. Solar Probe circulates water to keep the solar cells from overheating. It stays cool and keeps power.
So basically water flows behind the solar rays and into the radiators, and so the water warms up when it's behind the solar cells, and then cools down up at the radiators, and so that heat transfer is happening
What
a lot
cools the
like
radiators
the
down?
veins in your body.
Like the veins in your body. Oh! Should have
Yes,
said.
you read it right. Heat is not the same as temperature. Temperature is a measurement, but heat is energy transfer.
This is good.
This matters because Solar Probe will be visiting the sun's outer layer, the corona. Like all stars, the sun is made of plasma. How tightly packed that plasma is depends on the layer. While the sun's corona has a very high temperature, the plasma particles are fairly spread out. So even though the temperature in the corona is 2 to 3 million degrees Fahrenheit, the heat around the spacecraft is manageable. In the sun's outer layer, the corona. Like all stars, the sun is made of plasma. How tightly packed that plasma is depends on the layer. While the sun's corona has a very high temperature, the plasma particles are fairly spread out. So even though the temperature in the corona is 2 to 3 million degrees Fahrenheit, the heat around the spacecraft is manageable.
The corona and where we're going is actually not that dense at all. There are only a couple particles. And so when we think about it, those are very hot, but we're not touching a lot of them. It's the kind of like when you put your hand into an oven, and the oven might be at 400 or 500 degrees Fahrenheit, but your hand isn't at 400 or 500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thanks to its design and destination,
the probe is permanently in an oven, isn't it? It's not going next to the sun and then coming out. It's next to the sun. It's in the sun's atmosphere. The heat, honestly, the stuff that they promote. I can't believe people believe it. It just annoys me sometimes. It's so obviously lies, right? Anyway, buenas noches. Happy Saturday. I don't know what to do next.